Hi, my name is Dang, and in this video I'm going to present GestureMap, a system that supports the visual exploration and quantitative analysis of motion elicitation data by learning a two-dimensional map of body poses. Motion gestures are already being used in commercial products to control interactive devices, for example to switch programs on a smart TV or to interact with drones. The corresponding set of available interactions is usually formed by a gesture elicitation study. This tool should help researchers to better analyze the data collected in their gesture elicitation studies. On the right-hand side of the application, the user is presented with the GestureMap. The GestureMap offers a visual overview of the feature space learned by the underlying generative model. It features a grid of body poses discovered in the dataset. The model enforces that similar features lie in the same region. Hovering over the GestureMap will simulate a continuous behavior as seen in the preview window to the left of the map. Users can zoom into an interesting region to increase the resolution within that part of the gesture map. For example, this feature can help researchers to better evaluate the subtle transition from one pose to another. A full category or a type of gesture can be plotted as a scatter plot or density plot over the gesture map. When hovering over a specific gesture from the experiment list, its corresponding 2D embedding path will be highlighted in the map. Since individual poses are represented as points in this map, a full gesture is therefore represented as a path connecting multiple poses. To further emphasize the connection between the gesture sequence and the map, each gesture can be simultaneously animated as a 3D skeleton and its corresponding 2D embedding in the map. By entering the clustering options, users can automatically cluster gesture sequences. After running the clustering algorithm, each gesture is color-coded according to the assigned cluster center. Each cluster center is then represented as an average sequence calculated from the gestures in the group. To build the system, we used an existing gesture dataset that was pre-recorded with a Kinect sensor. We then divided each sequence into individual body pose frames, and each frame was then embedded into a two-dimensional space using a Variational Autoencoder. From the resulting space, we sample a grid of points to visualize landmarks that guide users through the behavioral space. And since each point in the space represents a single body pose, a gesture sequence is a path that connects multiple body poses. In gesture elicitation studies, participants often show different gesture proposals for the same system effect. Visualizing and comparing their embedded path can therefore be an easy way to discern gestures without having to watch the entire motion. In this example, one participant may propose a gesture embedded as the blue path, while another participant proposes a gesture represented by the green path. The embedded gesture path's shape and position in the gesture map provide researchers with valuable information about the encoded behavior. GestureMap also enables the analysis across user studies conducted by different groups. For example, let's consider a study that investigated the movement differences between adults and children. Here we can see the embedded gesture path of different adults performing the jumping jack movement. We can see that these paths are fairly compact, so we can reason that the adults have good control over their body movements. Now when we look at grade school children, we see that the paths are not as compact as in the previous example, and in fact, grade schoolers seem to show more variation in their movements. Finally, let's look at jumping jacks performed by children aged 3 to 6, this time recorded by a different research group for a different research purpose. And we can see that the movements are even less defined compared to the other two examples. We further evaluated the system in a small-scale study and invited 8 HCI researchers for a semi-structured expert interview. This interview was conducted online and recorded so that we could analyze it post-hoc. Overall, the participants liked the overview that the gesture map provided and felt that distinguishing gestures by comparing the shape of their paths was intuitive. Once they understood that gesture sequences were represented as paths and not as points in the map. Some participants thought that it was difficult to interpret gesture paths that were unusually complex, but attributed this complexity to an outlying behavior. To conclude this video, we encourage future work to also employ machine learning as a tool for the analysis of human behavior. With this work, we contribute to the vision of more widespread use of computational methods in HCI, especially to support more extensive and more data-driven HCI work. Given the proliferation of crowd platforms to collect large datasets, we expect computational methods and visual analytics as proposed here to become indispensable tools for many future HCI studies.